What is going on YouTube and Spotify? This is the Just BSN podcast, and today I have always, every single week, my boy Andrew rocking it out in the Guardians jersey as they are currently going ahead right now at Game 3. Currently down 1-0. We'll get to those discussions in a little bit, but we got some stuff to talk about. Mainly some Brown stuff because things seem to just be falling apart right now. Everything that you think could go bad pretty much is going bad right now. But yet we're still only 6 games into this season. We're going into week 7. And it's not over yet. But this week the Browns decided to trade away Amari Cooper for a third-round pick, which I actually don't think was a bad decision to make, considering how much Amari was struggling. We talked about this the last few weeks where we said I would be surprised if this happens at this point. And as we continue to struggle, it just seemed like him and Watson just could not click. God knows what it really was. There's a lot of speculation going on about Cooper not really having his head and heart into it, like MKC said this morning on 92.3 The Fan. Sounds like him and Watson didn't get along. Whatever it was, whatever the true reasoning behind it, something was up, and the Browns decided to move on from him for a third-round pick. So, Andrew, with all that said, how are we feeling right now? What's the current state of your mental at this point? Because this has been a fun 6 weeks so far as a Browns fan.
I mean, it just reminds me so much of 2015 where we went 1-15. So,
Yeah.
well, was it 2016? Sorry,
Yeah.
we went 1-15, and it's bringing me back.
The following.
Yeah, when it's bringing me back, and our stats were worse this year than they were back in 2016 when we went 1-15. So our stats are worse now than they were back then. So, and I know it's not Stefanski that's saying that Watson's giving us the best chance to win. I know it's the front office telling Stefanski to say that, because I know Stefanski deep down knows that Watson does not give us the best chance to win a football game right now. And he wants to just scrap it, throw either Winston in or DTR. But I mean, I was at the point where I was getting ready to be done watching games.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's like, why waste my Sunday watching a team know that they're going to lose? I mean, I'm going to watch Sunday because Nick Chubb's returning. So I'm definitely going to watch Sunday just for the fact that's the only reason why. Like, It's not because the Browns are playing. And I don't give a shit.
Because Nick Chubb's playing.
It's just because Nick Chubb is playing, and that's the only person I want to see on the field right now. Because he's the only one on this team that gives me any goddamn hope anymore.
Yeah.
Besides, obviously, the usual guys like Myles Garrett and Denzel, like Nick Chubb's the only guy who gives me any kind of glimmer of hope.
Yeah.
And I'm done. I mean, I'm sure Cooper getting traded is going to help Cooper rejuvenate his career.
Oh yeah, he's going to ball out.
He's going to ball out.
He's going to ball out.
Yeah, but I think Andrew Berry did a good job of getting more than what he got Cooper for, which is great because we got Cooper for a 5th-round pick, and we got a 3rd-rounder back from Buffalo. And I thought there was another pick that we got him from, because I thought I think it was like Cooper in the 7th, and then we got back like a 3rd and like a 6th or something. I don't know. I forget the details of the trade, but I know we got a 3rd back and we got him for a 5th. So I mean, Andrew Berry was smart there. But yeah, like you said, I don't think Coop and Watson were getting along. Obviously Cooper put on his Instagram move or rust.
Yeah.
And I think he felt like he was going to rust under Deshaun Watson. And I don't blame him, because last year with 5 different quarterbacks, he had over 1,300 receiving yards, and he had the big 200-plus receiving game with Joe Flacco in Houston on Christmas. So, but yet you tell me that Deshaun Watson can't throw more than 120 yards and get Cooper the ball. Like, now, don't get me wrong, Cooper's had a lot of drops this season, but I don't know. It's just hard being a Browns fan right now this
Yeah.
season after what we went through last year.
Yeah, it's been a long start to the season. It's been I'm honestly kind of thankful that I've been working the last 6 weekends because I haven't gotten to really purely enjoy this ride, if you will, uh, because it's not enjoyable at all. This has not been fun, especially when we both had uh, sort of high expectations for this team and
Mhm.
everything that we thought that went right last year seems to just be magic. Like I don't know what happened. I don't know what difference was made besides the quarterback. Honestly, these guys may just not like playing for Watson because of all of the shit that he has behind him.
Yeah.
All of his, off-field things. Maybe these guys just don't want to be behind him. And honestly, I don't blame them to a degree. It's a morality thing, and like morally speaking, I don't agree with the fact that Walt Watson is still our quarterback. Um, and you just wonder how long Stefanski is going to have to continue to make the comment of Deshaun gives us the best chance to win because he just doesn't.
Yeah.
Did Deshaun close out the second half of last week much better? Yeah, but he didn't do anything crazy. He
No.
had 87 yards passing in the first half or in the half. That's not going to do it for anybody at all, especially when Flacco was throwing for 350 off the couch. Like there's zero excuse for you
With the same
to
line
be
too.
to be having this issue. Yeah. And in fact, again, Watson has like top 10 to top 15 most time to throw in this league right now amongst quarterbacks. So you can't tell anybody that it's just the O line that is the
Mhm.
reason why he's struggling and why he can't get the ball out. No, he's not getting the ball out because he's not making his reads quick enough. And that's the most frustrating part about having to watch this every weekend is you know what's going to happen. And the reality is he's been like this since he was with Houston. He has always been this way. He was one of the most sacked quarterbacks in the league at that time, and he led the league in passing somehow. So I
Yeah.
don't know what happened to him in 2020. I don't know what deal he made with whoever, but this dude has a curse, a black cloud over him, and he's carried it into Cleveland that already had one to begin with over that field. And thank God we can also finally confirm this too. Brook Park is happening for the Browns.
Yeah.
I did not want to forget that, but I know it's kind of going to be overshadowed by everything. But by the start of the 2029 season is when the new stadium should be built. And honestly, I think it was still the right move. I just think ultimately the old stadium. I mean, I even said this to you earlier. I just think it's cursed. To be honest with you, I think it's cursed. So screw it. Move them away. Like
Yeah.
if that's what's gonna make this team better, then I'll do whatever it takes. I'm just tired of it.
Uh,
Um, it makes being a Browns fan so difficult week in and week out.
yeah. I mean, now we can at least watch the team lose in a luxurious stadium now.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
mean I mean that's a little better. We could go 0-16 in a beautiful stadium instead of a shitty outdoor stadium.
Oh yeah.
I do want to give an in-break situation. Kyle Manzardo hit a two-run homer. So
That's
Guardians
tight.
are now up 2-1 right now against the Yankees. So,
Sweet. So
so
yeah,
featuring
we had the game on before we hopped on and out, and then they had a couple really bad innings, and I was like, man, I don't even want to have this game on. And now it's back on. So if you guys see me moving over here a little bit, I'm just watching the game because Manzardo just put us up 2-1 in the third. So solid job out of my boy. I'm so excited for my Manzardo. But let's keep on track
yeah, let's keep on track. Yeah,
because we will talk about guards here in a
well,
little
let's get back to
bit.
the Browns. Yeah,
Yeah.
the Browns stadium also too. I did figure out the deal with the
Mm,
Bills. We ended up the Bills received Cooper and a 2025 6th round pick, so we gave up a sixth and
mm,
Cooper, and we landed a third-round pick for this year and a seventh-round pick next year.
mm.
So got more back than what we traded him for, and got him from Dallas from. So Andrew Berry did good in that situation. That's where I'll give Andrew Berry
Yeah.
credit. He does do good in those situations.
Especially because Devontae Adams just went for a third round pick as well to the Jets. So
Yeah,
to put him up in that same category, I was like, okay, cool. And I heard quite a few people saying it's not it's not enough comp. And to be honest, I think the longer they would have waited to do this, I think the worse of
the
a pick
deal.
we would
Yeah,
have gotten. So yeah,
and that's what I thought too was this was probably the best deal they were going to get. So you might as well just get the best deals
just
possible and
take it and
just
move on at this point because it's not like he was going to be a part of the future anyway.
and well, the thing is too is he was still frustrated about the
Contract, yeah.
the whole contract, but not even just that. The trade rumors
The trade,
earlier
yeah.
about Brandon Ayuk
Yep.
coming to Cleveland. So I don't blame him for being pissed off. Obviously, he's probably more pissed off that Deshaun Watson was trash, and they keep saying, "Well, we're just gonna keep starting him," and he's like, "Then move me. Like, if you're gonna
Yeah.
start this trash ass quarterback, then move me because I need to go somewhere where I can thrive, and I can't thrive in a place where you won't stop being idiots
Yeah.
and digging yourselves deeper holes." Because I'm sure half the teams like I want to go too because I don't want to play for this loser. So I I don't blame Cooper for leaving. I'm sure maybe a couple guys are going to go too as well, and it frustrates me because all you had to do is just bench Watson.
Yeah.
Who cares? At this point, who cares about the 230 million guaranteed? Just win football games at this point. You still have a chance to salvage your season, and you're going to choose Deshaun Watson over salvaging your season. And the only thing that I heard that made sense of this was from Mary Kay a couple days ago, saying that I think the reason why they're doing it is to see if he does get even slightly better, to see if they can move him away in the offseason to a different
Yeah.
team, and you can get some draft picks out of it.
Yeah.
So that I think that's the only thing that makes sense to me of why they're probably doing this is to see if
Yeah.
they can get some draft picks out of him and move him away.
Yeah.
But also
Because
too,
then, because then you don't have to eat all of the cap. You can
yeah,
try to get a team to eat
some of
some of
it,
it. You're gonna have to eat a good majority of it because there's still so much. I think it's like
yeah,
140 something million left.
yeah.
So there's still a lot to pay him. But
It's better
if they
than
do, yeah.
waiting another 2.5 more years to get rid of him, or 2 more years to get rid of him.
But regardless, that is going to be a hard contract to try to trade right away. Like, there's not
Mm.
going to be a lot of teams
And
unless it's literally like a Carolina or a team that just desperately needs anybody to step on
yeah,
that field.
which I'm sure Carolina's desperate enough, or maybe even Miami now that
Yeah, that
Tua's
is.
concussed as hell and
Yeah,
probably can't think for himself anymore. Or can't think
and they
period.
just paid Tua this past off season, so
Yeah,
yeah,
but no, I mean, I think it's time to get rid of Watson or even bench him. I think what they should do now is start. I know we said Jameis Winston, but I think DTR might be the move just to see because now
it
you have
might
a
as
top.
well.
At this
Yeah,
point, you have a top 5 pick. At this point, you have the number 1 pick in the draft.
yes, literally.
Um, and I think if you start DTR, you can kind of see if you need a QB in the first round, or if you can hold off for a couple of years and ride with DTR.
Yeah,
I think that might be the smarter move, just to see like, okay, do we have a QB in DTR? If not, then we could probably look to move him as well in the future,
yeah.
and just keep Winston as like a number 2, get rid of Watson and get rid of DTR and
Or hell,
draft
even keep
DT.
Winston just for the fact that he can start that first year, where you don't have to
Yeah,
throw your
exactly.
rook right in. Like pretty much what the Pats did with
Yeah,
Brissett in May. Like now Drake May
has a
played a
start.
pretty
Yeah,
good game last week. He
yeah,
so it's not always a bad idea to do that. And I think a guy like Winston is a great guy to try to keep specifically just for the locker room alone. I think guys love him.
I was gonna say
And I
that.
think
Yeah,
that's an important trait. Like, with the guards, Austin, Hedges as a player sucks, but as a locker room dude, he's the glue. He keeps everybody afloat, and I'm okay, cool. He's safe. But it's always like sort of beneficial to have a guy like that, and I think we need more vocal guys here. And I think guys like Coop, I mean, they aren't that vocal, so God knows what that room was even like. But To go back on a point that you made, we potentially could see other moves. There's a few that I can see easily. Now, before I say any names, my untouchables, my absolute, you are not trading for anything, are what is it, like 5 or 6 guys here. So it is Garrett, Ward, Grant Delpit, JOK, Petonio, and I think I said Chubb, but if not, Chubb. After that, everybody is free game, and I mean everybody.
Mhm.
Um, because at this point, if you really are going to wave the white flag, you might as well stock up on as many picks. Because I'm telling you right now, it may not be Barry picking them, and that's another hot take I'm gonna have too.
Yeah.
Andrew Barry does well with trades and whatnot, but his draft picks have not always been been great. I will say Newsom was a decent pick, especially when you look at everybody that went after Newsom. He's been the most productive player out of that entire list, besides maybe Bateman, and he's been very up and down for the Ravens. And there's a lot more guys on that list. They aren't even playing, so he was not bad. Obviously, Emerson was a great pick. I think he was a third round pick. So he hasn't messed up every pick. But the later on he gets in rounds, the least likely you're seeing guys stick. But the good thing is after the fourth round, 80% of guys that get drafted in those rounds don't even stay on an NFL roster.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's not uncommon for that either. As long as he can hit on the big catches, it really doesn't matter. Like truly, if he can just hit on the top 3 round picks, you can do some damage with that.
Yeah.
And then you can find your little diamonds and whatnot here and there. But I just don't know if they're gonna trust him with it because it's been a rough stretch. And if he really was the guy that sold the Haslams and even Stefanski on Watson, and he got that wrong, he's gonna get the blame.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, if Haslam was the one that really drove that home, nothing's gonna happen anyway because he's buying us a new stadium. So that's the bad part about dealing with the Haslams is no matter how much they fuck up, they will never get the blame for shit because they're just the owners.
Well, and that's
You
the
know,
thing. That's the one thing I hate about ownerships is that no matter what happens, no matter what they do, they never get the blame. All the blame falls to the general managers or the head coach or something. Like we've seen it a couple times.
unless you're Jerry Jones.
Oh yeah, Jerry Jones gets ripped apart by
But
Cowboys
that's
fans.
because he does it to himself, and I think the
Yeah.
Haslams do it to themselves because they try to get too involved. Jerry Jones is the most involved owner out of everybody.
Well, and he's getting ready to. I'm sure he's getting ready to go soon. Like I think everyone's like waiting for him to like give the team like not even just give the team away, but like ready to just go. He's what like almost like 88 years old. He's up there in age. I can't remember exactly how old Jerry Jones is. I'm actually going to look that up because that's kind of interesting.
Well, I don't know if you heard
He's
him.
82.
Okay, so I don't know if you heard him like crashing out on I think it was a radio show, uh, earlier this week. But
No.
he literally like damn near threatened the dude's job because of just being asked questions about McCarthy and the offense and stuff like that, and it's just like, oh my god, he's literally crashing out
Well,
on live radio.
you put yourself in those positions though. Like you can't put yourself in those positions.
Yeah.
So, but no, I like you said, dude, this whole thing, I mean, I don't know.
He might be safe.
I remember all the Andrew Barry memes of the lasers coming out of the eyes and
Yeah.
um all that stuff. And I at this point, like don't get me wrong, he's hit on a couple guys. He has. And there's a lot of guys like Jed and all them that he's missed on. But you can't expect him to I know a lot of Browns fans are expecting him to be, perfect. And that's the thing, like you can't expect everyone to be perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, even when John Dorsey was here, John Dorsey wasn't perfect either.
No, no.
But
I mean, because he didn't hit on all of his picks,
yeah,
but he did always trade for guys that usually were at
really
the time
good.
really good. Yeah, he was way more way more aggressive than Barry is. Barry is not aggressive at all. He is
No.
very much analytical to the T.
Well, and that's why we still have guys like Paul DiBattista
Who
who
also need to get the fuck out of here. I can't even stand
he's
him because
well,
he's done nothing.
well, the worst part is too about him is that he stays in his California San Diego home.
Yeah,
He never even at the games, never in the office, never in Berea. Like he's just in his
he's
California.
non-existent. Yeah,
He's not. So why have him around?
yeah.
Why have him involved with the team? I don't care if he's fucking analytical. Moneyball doesn't work. We talked about this last week. Moneyball doesn't work. Get rid of his ass. Like, eh, I understand too. Andrew Barry is analytical, but I also think that a lot of the things that goes on isn't just Andrew Barry. I think the Haslam's dipped their toes into. I think Jimmy
Yes.
Haslam dips his. So like a lot of, I think a lot of the draft picks and a lot of the trades that we do make has something to do with Jimmy Haslam wanting that person, and not so much maybe Andrew Barry wanting that person or Kevin Stefanski wanting that person.
Yeah.
I think Jimmy Haslam's one of those guys like you pick this guy or you're fired.
Yeah.
You pick this guy or we're gonna have problems. And it's like, dude, you think you know football, you don't.
No.
You're the guy who, and this is what owners need to understand. You're the guy who forced the money over. That's it. You just fork the money over and you sit your ass in your suite and you chill. That's your job. Your job is not to dibble and dabble into what the GM does, what the head coach does. Let them do their jobs. Let them work. And that's the thing. That's the issues with the Jerry Joneses in the world, the Haslams. Oh God, who are the guys? Who's the guy in the Chargers? Is it Dean Spanos? I think is his name.
Something like that.
I can't remember the owner's name. But yeah, like they like to dimple the yeah, as Spanos. Um, but yeah, it's like, and Spanos is a douchebag because he took San Diego's team away from them and moved them to LA. That's also a dick move. But they like to dip their toes in everything because they think they know the sport. They think they know football. They think they know basketball. Because even a lot of these owners own other sports teams too, like Spanos. I think he's the owner of the Clippers too.
Yeah.
And obviously, they just built the Intuit Dome, which actually kind of looks sick. To be honest with you, I actually kind of like the look. It looks dope.
Yeah.
But I hate when they think they know so much about the sports that they're owners of, and it's like, brother, just fork over the cash and let you hire GMs for a reason. Let them do their jobs.
Yeah. For real.
If you don't, like, okay, give them a couple of years. If they don't build good rosters in a couple of years, and say like the Browns continue to suck, then fire Andrew Barry and get someone else in. I think you had the best guy in John Dorsey. I really didn't think you'd need to get rid of John Dorsey. But as someone mentioned earlier that they should get rid of Andrew Barry and bring back John Dorsey.
Yeah, I've seen that. I've also seen people say they wanted fucking Mr. Sashi back too because at least he loaded us up on picks, and it's like, yeah, well, he also missed out on a lot of picks too. But
He loaded picks, but he also missed a lot of those picks
yeah,
too.
yeah.
Because
You know,
wasn't
it's
Sashi the one who drafted Johnny Manziel too?
no, I think that was one of the other ones. He's the one that got suspended for having to text one of our head coaches during a game or some shit. I forget what his name was.
Well, he was with the Browns from 2013 to 2017.
I thought that Manzo was. Well, actually, yeah, that would
Manziel
have
was
been,
drafted in
yeah.
20. Manziel was drafted in 2014.
So yeah, maybe he was. Yeah,
I didn't realize he was the president of the Ravens.
yeah, yeah. That's
That's
where he's at
crazy.
right now. So yeah, I mean, it just stinks that you have ownership that's too involved when they don't need to be
Mm-hmm.
involved like that. But we do have an opportunity this week to win because the Bengals are not a good team right now. Their defense, I would say, is arguably one of the worst defenses in the league right now. Beyond Jamar Chase, they do not have much of an offense right now. Sure, you got T. Higgins, and he will probably play well against us because he always seems to. but there's not a whole lot of defense being played. So if you can get in
No,
some sort of shootout and finally get the offense, we're working, maybe something can click because
that's
we
wishful thinking.
we really almost had the Eagles. Like we truly did.
Yeah,
We played the Eagles pretty well considering how good of a team they are, but I also think the Eagles are not as good as I thought they were, and I think Sirianni is not a great coach, and
I think
he's probably
that's
going to get canned.
I think that's the issue. Is that Nick Sirianni's an idiot and he doesn't know what the
Yeah,
hell he's doing. And
he's a
the only reason why he's made the Super Bowls and won the Super Bowls he did was because he got bailed out by his players.
yeah,
Because
exactly.
his
So
players were good and he got bailed out. And now he's riding off the tush push.
yeah, and we all know how bad Zach Taylor is. Like
Zach Taylor's god awful.
I think he has been the one that's been carried by his players the most. And I'm not even saying that he's a bad play caller on offense. He's just not a good head coach. It's almost I actually I wouldn't even say that that's what we have in Stefanski because I mean he's been a 2-time head coach, which is
Yeah.
why I also I do want to say I feel really bad for Stefanski. I think he is again just being played a really bad hand here.
Mm-hmm.
He's being forced to continue to start a core, a QB and have to sell it to everybody, to the players, to the media, to us,
And take all the blame for it.
and take all the blame for it. Man, I really hope that they don't fire him. Like I really hope that they don't result in that just because they're going to
No.
get pressure from it. Because
He's the best
if
coach
you're
we've
gonna,
had.
because if you're gonna blame anybody, you might as well blame the Haslams, and that's just where I'm at. So
And you can
this
tell
is,
it's the Haslam's fault because they're trying to cover it up now with the brand new stadium
yep,
story. Like, oh guys, look, we're gonna build a brand new stadium. Like, love us, please. Like, we're building Cleveland a brand new dome. Like, guys, check this out. Like,
yeah,
okay, cool. And I said this to a couple of my friends that because they're like, oh, you're getting a dome in Cleveland, and I'm like, what's the point if you're gonna have a shitty ass football team playing in the dome?
yeah,
Like, I get it, the curse on the lake, sure, it might help with that, but it's probably not gonna stop us from going 4-13 every fucking year.
yeah,
Like, do you really want to build a brand new $1 billion dome just to go 4-13 every fucking year?
yeah,
Hooray, we're losing, but we're losing in style now, guys. Look at us. And we're gonna host only one Super Bowl because why the would anyone want to come to Cleveland to watch a Super Bowl?
yeah,
There's nowhere to stay. There's no hotels to stay in. The traffic is by the airport is god awful. Like there's nothing to do in Brook Park besides go to Big Boy. And I can't believe they still have a Big Boy over there in Brook Park, but
yeah,
that's where the tailgate's gonna be at, baby. We're gonna go to Big Boy and tailgate that shit.
yep,
But no, I was like, okay, cool. Like at the first year's done being built, we're probably gonna host a Super Bowl, and then we probably won't have another one for decades, probably, because they're gonna be like, wow, well, who cares? Like it's Cleveland. Like we're not gonna.
yeah,
They're gonna keep it, and because the reason why is because it's cold up here.
yeah,
Flights get it's they move it to like the first second week of February now. The Super Bowl. And February is Ohio's worst month for the winter because
oh yeah,
it gets stupid cold. It gets into single digits, 2 feet of snow. Like, okay, cool. You want everyone's flights to be delayed and nobody can get
yep,
here, and you're gonna have a half stadium for a fucking Super Bowl.
yeah.
And like, okay, cool. You hosted one Super Bowl and you're not gonna get another one. Well, what about the Final Four for the men's basketball?
Final Four,
Like,
soccer tournaments,
who
like
like
literally, there's so much to do with this anymore.
the soccer I understand because you can fill 70 or 60 70,000 people for a soccer game because people will go watch the US play or go
Yeah,
to like a world if you had the World Cup, after 2028,
yeah,
you would have had the World Cup inside that stadium and
yeah,
people would show up. No one gives a fuck about the NCAA Final Four unless it's there. Now I get it. Like some of us, like probably like us, will probably go just to have
yeah,
fun.
yeah,
But again, you're going to fill out what the lower bowls and cover up the upper section. And guess what? The lower bowl is going to be 20,000 seats. You know what else has 20,000 seats? Rocket Mortgage fucking Field House,
yeah,
where they had the women's Final Four with Caitlin Clark.
yeah,
Like you could have just done that, just played it there. It's an actual basketball stadium. Ooh, like you don't need to play in a fucking goddamn NFL stadium for 70,000 people where they only use not even half the stadium, and they block off almost not 85% of the stadium to fit to 20,000. And they
Yeah.
put those like little bleachers enclosed so that way it looks like it's an enclosed. Like it looks stupid. It looks
Yeah.
dumb as hell.
It always has to me too. Like anytime they do that at at like Dallas or something, it's
Like
just like
Lucas Oil, yeah.
this looks way too big. Like there's just no reason for this to even be
It's
here.
so stupid, and I don't get. Well, what about concerts? The only person that can draw that big of a crowd is Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
Like, you really think you're going to draw 70K people to come watch and some random ass dude that just comes here when they could usually just go play at Rocket Mortgage
Yeah.
and sell
Well,
out
not
Rocket
even
Mortgage?
Rocket Mortgage. There are so many like solid
House of
music
Blues, yeah.
venues. House of Blues, the
Um,
Agora, the Roxy out in Lakewood is also awesome, which is newer. It's a little smaller, but it's a really good
yeah,
place too.
instead of Mahal's, yeah.
Yeah.
The bowling
So
alley. I watched the
it's
concert
freaking.
there.
Oh yeah. I've been to like six this year, I think. All there, and they've been all awesome. Like every time
Yeah.
I've gone to a show, it's all awesome. So again, there's plenty to do here. Like it's not like
Hmm.
it's, but to be able to move the stadium to Brook Park, also having it be a dome is just going to be great.
Yeah.
But the one thing that I do want to sort of pivot to is obviously we, did know, earlier that Nick Chubb is back,
Yes.
and I'm curious to ask what kind of load management do you want for him? Because I do not want him to really have more than like 10 to 12 carries. I really don't want to just throw him out and have him get 30 carries. Like I just
Yeah.
there's no need for it. Just let him get his feet back under him over the next probably few weeks to even a month before you really start giving him 20 plus carries.
Yeah, no, I heard this from Tyvis Powell on UCSS, and I thought it was like the perfect amount. It was like 8 to 10 carries, and all the guys were like, "Wait, what? 8 to 10?" I was like,
Yeah.
"He's like, yeah, 8 to 10." He's like, "You're coming off of a massive injury.
Yeah.
Like, you need to slowly build up. Like, I know like the Bull and all them had like Chubb getting like 15 to 17 carry, and it's like that's a
Yeah.
little too much.
Yeah.
Like, you have Jerome Ford back there, you have Deontay Foreman back there. Like, you're getting Naeem Hines back too. Like."
Yeah.
I don't think you need to go almost 20 carries for Nick Chubb. I think you can just go 8 to 10, see what he
And
does,
split
see
that
how
up
he
between
feels.
3 or 4 guys because
Yeah,
Jerome Ford, he might not be active. I think
yeah.
he's a
I
question
think
mark right now.
yeah.
So you'll see Foreman. You've obviously had Pierre Strong do
Who
some
looked
work a
well?
little
Yeah,
bit, and then if Hines comes back, that also opens things up as well. So if each guy gets like 5 to 10 carries, that's plenty of running for us. And honestly,
yeah,
it's more than we've done. So I really hope that we can start this game and really drive home the run game and really try to open up the pass game that
I
way.
I don't think they're gonna overwork Chubb. I
No, they
don't think
can't. They
I
can't.
think Stefanski's gonna be smart. Like, listen, we'll give you like 8, 10 carries, maybe
Yeah.
12 if you're feeling up to 12.
Yeah.
But that's gonna be your workload, and we're gonna maybe put them in like different situations too, like not like every other down or like every play or whatever, but they might
Yeah.
like squeak him in like here, squeak him in there. You know, let him like get a good feel of it. I think they're probably gonna start out. I think they're gonna start out by maybe giving him the first couple rushes. Um, I just heard my girlfriend just shout Austin Hedges.
He
I
just
mean,
hit.
a
He
boot.
just hit a double.
Oh, I thought I hit a nuke after all that.
No,
I
I
thought
almost thought it was at first, but no, that was just a great hit to left.
you guys almost got me hyped up for an Austin Hedges.
Yeah.
Oh,
Hey,
dang it.
listen, an Austin Hedges hit is big enough.
Oh,
He
dude,
got on base, and it was a double.
That gets the crowd crazy, dude.
Yes.
I remember I went to one of the games this year when it was a home run, and everyone just went like berserk.
Yep.
But yeah. But back to the oh yeah, I just saw it. I have it on my phone. I'm like well behind you guys.
Yeah.
But back to the situation I had. I think Nick Chubb gets I think he gets like at most 12 carries, but I think 8 to 10 is like a good number. Like you said, you can split it around 3 different guys because you're gonna have Strong, you're gonna have Foreman, you're probably gonna have Hines, and Hines might get limited too, just
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
for the
He
sake
will.
of just so he can get back into the feel of everything. Um, so I mean, you can give Chubb 10 to 12, 8 to 12, or whatever, 8 to 10, and then give the rest of the carries to Foreman and Pierre Strong and let them kind of just work. You don't need Chubb to do a whole lot. I think with 10 carries, I think it tells you enough to see how he feels,
Yep.
see if he can't do some kind of damage. Like, I mean, some guy said I wouldn't be surprised if Nick Chubb got those 10 carries and he still had like 65, 70 yards
Oh yeah.
rushing.
Like, dude, imagine how wild, like even if we're losing by, 10 or like 14 early and Nick Chubb just takes one to the house. You know how much of a impact like that touchdown alone could have on the
Yeah.
season? Like Nick Chubb scoring would do a lot because I mean, if any of you guys got to see him speak, was it yesterday? Literally before the interview even started, everybody's yelling, "Nick Chubb, Jake Chubb's back!" Like the whole locker room is feeling the vibes of the fact
Yeah.
that he's back, and I think he honestly got a little
Emotional.
emotional from it just because like again it's been a long journey and his
Yeah.
little I think it was a Players Tribune that he story that he did was awesome to hear too. Like it was just
It made me
it's
cry.
the only it's the only positive that we have right now. So just please do right by Chubb. Please take
And
care of him and let him slowly work himself back into it. And if he can try to revitalize this offense, it will help take pressure off Watson and
yeah.
maybe he can play better. And if that's the case, then you have a chance again.
No, and I think that's the one thing I think the Haslam's did well was because if you read the Players Tribune, which I highly recommend, it's going to take you like 5 minutes to read. It's so worth it. But in it, he said, the Browns. He said I had no guaranteed money left. The Browns could have easily just cut me and just do what a lot of other teams in the league do and just say, "Listen, goodbye," and just leave you in the dark. But he was told the reason why he was brought back was because of the fans in the city were so in love with him and that they're like, dude, you're the heart and soul of this city. We could never ever get rid of you.
Yeah.
Like ever.
Yeah, you
Like
can't.
if we get rid of you, we're getting rid of the entire city at that point. Like
Yeah.
the entire city would follow you wherever you went. So, and
I
I
feel
think
like that's
that's
the same thing with Garrett too. Like
yeah.
if we were to get rid of Garrett, it'd be the same thing.
Yeah, and I think there's a reason why those two love playing for Cleveland is the fact that they can feel the emotional connect with the fans and they know how much they mean to the city.
Yeah.
And the fact that they both want to do everything they can to bring a possible championship to Cleveland, it makes me respect them so much.
Yeah.
And like you could get rid of them and I wouldn't be so happy if they won a championship elsewhere. Like
Oh yeah.
like they could go to the Chiefs. I don't care. I would root for the Chiefs to win and be like, listen, I'm just happy they won. Like they got what they deserve.
Yeah, exactly.
Like like, it's the same thing we talked about with Joel Batonio. Like if he even just went somewhere to win a championship, like he got what he deserved after all the years of service he gave us. Like he deserved every single bit of that, and
Yeah.
now he can go home and ride that high for the rest of his life and have something to be proud of for the rest of his career. And I truly believe that something's telling me that with both of those guys, Garrett and Chubb, like something crazy is gonna happen. Not like them like moving or anything, but
Mhm.
like they're gonna bring us joy,
Yeah.
and it could potentially be a championship if we do things right. And
We just cannot continue to waste their primes anymore. We've done that
no,
enough, and it's such a shame that we've had them for this long, and there's been
mm-hmm.
nothing to show for it.
Had them for 6 years now.
Yeah,
Well, we had Miles since 2017, so we had him for 7. We had
and
Chubb
then
for
Chubb was
6.
after that because he
It
came
was
in with Bake.
2018. Yeah,
Yeah,
they were 2018. So we had them for 6 to 7 years, and
yeah, and
they're
even Ward. I mean,
even
Ward's the
Ward.
same way. Yeah,
Yeah, Ward came in 2018 too because Baker
and
was the first
Joku.
pick.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were all 2018 because Baker was the first pick, Ward was the fourth,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, I mean you don't want to waste the years of those guys, and believe me, I want them to succeed. I want them to do well, and I think by moving Amari Cooper, I think the organization is trying really hard to at least try to do something to And who knows? Maybe they are trying to get rid of Watson at the end of the year, and that's why they're playing him to see if they could get something out of him.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Listen, we'll tank it this year. We'll get a top 5 pick, and we'll get a top 5 pick. We'll get whether we need maybe a new QB with this
Yeah.
pick, maybe maybe a new OT, offensive tackle, maybe a star-studded wide receiver, somebody to come in and see if they can help." I think they're going to do what they can to try and bring something to the city. And if that means tanking just for 1 year, like the Bengals did for Joe Burrow, I would not mind it whatsoever. Because I'd
Yeah.
rather tank, get an insanely good pick out of it, get a game changing player, a life changing player, and then just be good for years to come.
Oh yeah.
Because then that means playoff after playoff after playoff. Like it almost be a norm to us, like losing has been for the last 20 years.
Yeah.
Like I know we feel the pain now, but something deep down tells me that something good is going to happen at the end of the year, and we're going to get a high end pick. We're probably going to tank the season, get a high end pick. We're going to make a good choice. Whether it's probably going to be the QB, one of the QBs, and like we said, we want like guys like Quinn Ewers or Cam Ward, maybe Archie Manning, one of those guys,
Yeah.
and see if they can elevate us. Because I look at guys like Cam Ward who could potentially be like the Jada Daniel and just go balls crazy, throw the ball deep, and then run like hell.
Yeah.
Or you can get someone like an Archie Manning who could end up being like a Joe Burrow, good pocket passing QB who can
Yeah.
just sling the rock
And still run the ball too, because
and
Arch
still
can
run.
run.
Yeah. And you might see the glimpses of the Mannings inside of Archie,
Yeah,
which
you
would
never know.
be elite.
Yeah. I
Um,
mean, again, and I've also been a big proponent of Quinny,
Quinn
and Quinn
Ewers,
Ewers
yeah.
as well. So if you decide to go, quarterback this year, that's the guy I want. Like, without a contest, I want nothing to do with Shadir. I want
No.
nothing to do with him. Not really high on Georgia's quarterback either, that Beck kid, although he's
Yeah.
fine. I'm just not super high on him. Even Cam Ward is up there for me as well, I think. But it's just there's going to be some choices made, and the Browns have to do their due diligence now to see what they have. And I'm with you on the whole wanting DTR to play as well, because you got to see what he's got as well.
Yeah.
You got to see if he can genuinely run the offense with this team. And if he can, that gives you that bridge to be okay, Watson. We're gonna move on from you. We're gonna have a bridge guy with Jameis still here, and then we're gonna move for 2026. If that really is how you want to do things, so be it. But even if DTR can elevate the team and he ends up being good, then okay, cool. You found somebody that you can rally around and sort of a Brock Purdy type of thing. Do I think that's gonna happen? No, but I'm saying anything's possible in this league. So you got to figure out what you have, because I think you know what you have with Watson by now. There's zero reason to think anything else otherwise. And the only reason why you were sticking with him is because, again, you were trying to figure out a way to get out of all of this cap and try to move on from him
Yeah.
in any other way besides just waiving him. And I know the Browns don't want to do that because they don't want to eat all of the cap. But the fact is, you're going to lose money regardless. So figure it out. Like that's literally my final thoughts on that. I really don't have anything else to speak on the Browns, because I do want to talk Guardians before we get into our Week 7 predicts.
Yeah, I have
Yeah,
nothing more to say about the Browns either.
yeah, and so
Tank
I
for
guess that'll,
Tua.
yeah. So I mean, so I mean, that can be sort of our transition into some guards talk, because as you can see, we both have the game up and stuff. Right now, it's still 2-1. Obviously, after the Manzardo bomb there in the, I believe it was the third inning, he's actually back up now. But 2-1 in the fifth. Boyd is dealing right now. He's playing a really solid game. We'll see if they pull him now, or if they give him at least another third of an inning or two. We'll see what they do here soon. Manzardo just grounded out. But Boyd has been by far the best starter that we've had uh, for this series, at least. Bybee struggled. Obviously, game one, we really didn't get to do anything with Cobb, and apparently Cobb got hurt. So Cobb is now gone, and he's done for the rest of the postseason. So now Ben Lively is up. So we'll see if he even plays. He might be a game five, uh, sort of solution unless they go back to
Mm-hmm.
Bybee. But Gavin Williams is playing tomorrow, which I'm very excited about. I've been waiting for them to use Gavin Williams here, and I think he can be a difference maker if he really comes out and pitches well. And he has a fresh arm. He has not pitched in a while, so he would have no excuse to not have any velo. And as long as he can keep his command there, and he can make the Yankees whiff, because guys like Aaron Judge, they strike out a lot. We've talked about this many times.
Yeah.
He's already struck out once today. Really the only guys that you need to worry about are guys like Juan Soto and Gia. And after that, the Yankees are an interestingly hitting team. And I think when it comes to the guards, man, and hitting, they just need to get back to their ball. And I think putting Manzardo at the second spot was actually a very good move by them. And I think it gives you power early on, and it
Yeah.
takes the pressure off of guys like Jose and Naylor to not have to hit for power, because they've been trying to match the Yankees with that power hitting, and it's just not working because it's not our
It's not our
game.
game. Yeah.
It's not. And you got guys like Quan batting almost 500 in the postseason. You need to get guys on base or early on for these, good hitters, even like Quan. You got to
Yeah.
get back to just dinking and donking, because I'm telling you, that will demoralize the Yankees way, way more than having to hit bombs. So we'll obviously see what they do. They got Mr. Ramirez up right now, 2 outs, wild ball, but there's nobody on. So
Yeah. No, no matter what happens with the rest of this year, I think this was a phenomenal year. I think Stephen Vogt did a fantastic job. And I know he made some mistakes this postseason, but he's a rookie manager and he's going to make mistakes. That happens. And it's something he's going to be learning from. And the one thing to take from this Yankee series is the fact that the Yankees aren't beating you, actually.
no,
We're beating ourselves.
yeah,
Because in game one, their 5 runs, 3 of the 5 came off of wild pitches from a rookie pitcher, Joey Cantillo, on bases loaded.
who was dealt a pretty bad hand, as we
It was
talked about earlier.
who was dealt
Ground
a
ball,
horrible hand.
good hit by
And
Jose.
and it was a good hit. He
Nice
needed
double.
that bad.
Yeah.
Um, but I do like the fact that like Cantillo got dealt a pretty shitty hand.
Yeah.
Obviously, 3 of those 5 runs were scored on wild pitches, and they hit 2 home runs. If we were to take away those 3 wild pitches and the game went normally, that's a 2-2 ball game, probably going to extra innings. And then you get the game after in game 2. Again, they scored their first run on an infield error by Rocchio, who couldn't catch a fly ball. And then they scored on another error. A lot of their runs have come on errors from the Guardians defense this postseason. Besides hitting 2 home runs in two, or at least 2 home runs in 2 games. No, 1 home run in the game. They had 1 home run game 2.
Yeah.
But it was a 2-run homer. They scored 2 runs.
Yes.
But other than that, again, without the errors, the game is tied going to extra innings. It's a 3-3 ball game going to extra innings.
Man.
The Guardians were beating themselves in the first 2 games. It wasn't the Yankees beating us; it was us beating us. And I'm sure that was the message in the locker room. Like, listen, guys, we're beating ourselves. Like, if we didn't have the mistakes, that's the difference between us maybe being up 2-1 or us being up 3-0 or 2-0 going into this game and potentially being up 3-0. And you can't beat yourselves up like that. You can't make those easy mistakes of missing a simple fly ball or trying to pick up a ball barehanded in the outfield and trying to make a throw instead of just grabbing it and keeping the guys on base. You can't make these simple, stupid mistakes. So the Guardians are playing well. I think they found their formation. I think they found their form. They're hitting the ball well today, and they're doing well. I mean, granted, Manzardo, I think he should have been playing all postseason. Showing why he should have played all postseason. He's the only one who's 2 for 3, and I mean, Rocchio has been tremendous this postseason too, just as good as Stephen Kwan. He's been hitting the ball insanely well. I forget his average, but his average was crazy good too. He's been batting 440,
Yeah.
So he's just as good as Stephen Kwan right now. So it's nice to have Rocchio and then immediately after Kwan up to bat, because it's like, okay, cool. That's almost two guys on base right there.
Yeah.
And
which is why they probably put Manzardo at the 2.
Yeah, because, and don't get me wrong, you could, like, they put in Manzardo because it's a right-handed pitcher.
Yeah.
And Cole Schmidt is terrible against lefty hitters. But if it was a lefty pitcher, it probably would have been David Fry, which again would not have been a bad move, because David Fry is still, even if like
he's batting pretty well,
even if it's one out and 2 on like second and third, I could trust David Fry to at least put the ball in the outfield to give you a sac fly for a run.
Yeah,
like I don't need him to get a double or a single or get on base. He knows how to get a sac fly. He had a sac bunt that scored this year. He had a home run, 2-run homer that tied the game up, or a 3-run homer that actually gave you a lead. Like he's giving you plenty of opportunities to win games this postseason too. So, and we talked about this before when it came to the postseason. A lot of these abnormal guys are going to have to step up, and they have. The only ones who have stepped up are your big time players that were supposed to step up, like your Jose's and your Naylors. When now Jose's stepping up, and he's been hitting the ball really well. Now it's just
but Naylor is a guy who is struggling, which is a guy that
Naylors.
which is he's up to bat right now, and that's one guy I do want to talk about a little bit.
Yeah.
Josh Naylor. Do we think this is his last year?
I think so, because number one, and I know this doesn't have to do with a whole lot, but number one, he's out of shape really bad. Like he can't run. It prevents him from, like early in the game, he had an easy diving play that he could have, but again, he's just so out of shape. He's super slow. He misses grounders that are easy grounders. He makes picks that are so easy because he can't stretch super far. He's too far out of shape to be a first baseman anymore. He's just too far out of shape just to be, like, at this point, he might as well just make him a DH.
Yeah, like him and Manzardo should just switch.
Yeah,
at this point, because
like if you're gonna keep
first baseman anyway.
if you keep Naylor, Manzardo's got to play first every day, and then maybe add in John Kenzie Noel into that mix, or David Fry, because David Fry could play first base. And the reason why we aren't seeing David Fry playing in the outfield or catcher is because his arm is shot right now. So I know I do think he's gone, because I don't think you need him anymore.
Yeah.
You got him in, and you put him in there because you needed a first baseman bad. Now you don't need the first baseman position, because you have Manzo, you have Noel, you have Fry, you have 3 guys who can play first base.
Yeah.
You do not need, and all 3 of those guys are way better hitters than Josh Naylor.
Yeah. I mean, Josh Naylor's about a 240 hitter.
And if you give Noel a full season, he could probably be a 240 hitter too.
Probably even better than that, to be honest.
Yeah,
because
I forget what his and I'll let you speak, because I'm gonna look up John Kenzie Noel's minor league batting stats, just to see where he is.
Yeah, so I mean, it definitely seems like this could be the end of the road for Naylor. Like, at least for us, I think it would be time to move on. Especially, again, we have these young guys, so you might as well give them the chance. I do wonder if that does have any sort of effect on Bo, because I do like Bo Naylor. I really do, especially as a catcher, but he's just not a great hitter right now. There's something up with him, and he was great in the minors. For every reason, he struggles up here. But when he's on, though, Bo Naylor is a great hitter. And he does have some power to him. So it's a weird thing to be in with especially with the brothers. But Josh Naylor mainly, I can see him being gone after this, which I know not everybody is going to enjoy. but I think that's going to happen.
Yeah, so looking at it, John Canzanola in 2024 in the minor leagues in Columbus, he was before he came up to Cleveland. 65 games, 258 at bats. He was batting 295.
Yeah, so he's almost a 300 hitter.
Well, let me go back to some of his career averages in the minor leagues. So in 2018, in his first year in the minor leagues, 243.
Yeah.
2019, 287. 2021, 340. And then he had two kind of like crappy years in 22 and 23 where he was batting 230 each year, but he also hit 30 home runs in those years.
Yeah.
And like nuked 30 home runs and had over 100 RBI or had around 95 RBIs or so.
Yeah.
So,
Which is, I mean, that's what you want to get out of Naylor. So if Noel becomes that, then you don't really lose out on Naylor specifically anyway. So
and he might be your answer for right field because I know we're looking for a right fielder. He might be the answer to right field.
mm-hmm.
And he's good with the glove out there too. He definitely made some plays and continues to make. He's made some diving plays. Made a play against the screen where he caught it up against the screen and threw a guy out at second base. So he's definitely a good fielder and he can hit. I think you just have to give him a full season where he's playing every single day.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's why his batting average was so low because the opportunities he was getting, he was playing like once or twice a week, and then the times he was so obviously he's going to get cold.
Yeah.
So, but if you give him every day at bats, and then again you have Will Brennan, who's usually a career 240 hitter, you can sit behind him if Noel plays 4 games, you can just be like, okay, what Will Brennan can play 1 game, and then we'll put Noel back in.
And you can even mix in Schneeman and stuff like it. I think Schneeman's playing right now, so like just having the Swiss, having the Swiss Army knife type of guys is always great too. So like,
and Schneeman can play anywhere too.
Yeah, so I mean it's not going to be an issue for us to fill that, and especially with the young guys starting to come up, I just think it makes more sense to start to move on from some of these guys. Because then, if you want to go after a bigger name, like for instance, Juan fucking Soto, if you really want to pull the trigger on that, you can do that. Yeah.
Can you imagine that you play the Yankees again in the postseason next
year? Yeah,
exactly. Juan Soto on the Guardians.
Yeah. So I mean,
like, what the fuck is this?
Oh yeah, it'd be so funny. It'd be so funny. All right, let's strike out Aaron Judge here. But so yeah, there's definitely opportunity there. Last thing I do want to ask before we get into our NFL predicts, let's say because we are currently down 2-0, although we are up 2-1 right now in this game, and we just struck out Aaron Judge, so that's good as well. Doing his best Aaron Judge impression. If we were to lose to the Yankees, would you consider this loss to be a loss overall on the season, or do we think this was a very majority positive way to go, especially with a first-year coach?
I think it was a positive year with the first-year coach because I didn't expect to come. Like, number one, I didn't expect to come to the postseason. I expected the Guardians to be better than last year, obviously.
But not like this.
I never expected us to be in the ALCS going against the New York Yankees right now. And again, you're playing the Yankees, who should be a perennial World Series team.
Yeah.
So even if you lose this series, it's not going to be frustrating. It's not going to be upsetting. It's going to be like, we should have expected this.
Yeah.
But we also never expected to be in this position in the postseason. And it's the same thing that Detroit's talking about too, because Detroit's like, we don't know how the hell we got here, but we got here. We don't know how the hell we did it, but we're here.
Well, I mean, they were just the hottest team in the league right there. Yeah. So I mean, it just made sense.
But for the Guardians, it never made sense for us to be here. Like, we were projected to be 4th out of 5th because everyone knew the White Sox was going to be horrible. But we were projected to be the one team above the White Sox, and look how we turned out. Almost the best team in baseball, one of the best records in the American League. We're in Game 3 of the ALCS. Like, no one expected us to be here, not even us. So I don't take this as a loss at all. And if anyone does take this as a loss, they're just idiots.
Yeah.
This has been the most positive season we've had.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I mean, I totally agree too. I think, and even if Stephen Vogt doesn't have a great series here. I think he can learn a lot from this series and grow as a
Yeah.
manager. Everybody forgets he was a player 3 years ago. Like it wasn't too long ago that he was playing for the A's as a catcher and being a player. And
Hmm.
so this is a learning curve for him. He's going to make mistakes. I did not enjoy him putting in Will Brennan to pinch hit for I think it was Friday in game two when
Yeah.
Will Brennan has struggled so far in this series. He's just been striking out, so
And I'd
he's
rather
not
have
really
David
producing.
find. I'd rather have David find a bases loaded situation with one out than
Yeah,
because that could either be a grand slam from David Fry, or
exactly.
it's just a base hit that brings in a couple runs, or again it's one out. David Fry just might do the right thing, just get a simple sac fly and just get a run home.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, it's again, this is a learning curve for him, and he's
Yeah.
gonna have to learn it the hard way, and that's fine. I mean, it sucks as a fan, but again, this team is in a great spot. They have a lot of young talent still that has barely gotten to play, and
Hmm.
having these guys in the minors that we do, I'm just excited for the future of this team. So,
Yeah.
regardless of how this goes, it's been a fun ride. We still have the Cavs that are going to become coming up here soon, which is also going to be great
Yep.
because it sounds like
Wednesday's game one, I think,
yeah. So I mean,
in
guys like
Toronto.
Garland seem to be healthy and back into it. There was obviously some rumor about him not really having his heart in it. Last year he really struggled with all of the
The
injuries and stuff he had.
A lot of mental
Uh,
stuff going on,
yeah, I think he
and it
lost his
showed.
grandfather or something last year. Like he dealt with a lot more that he had talked about, and it
Yeah.
was like, okay, I can get that now. So it just seems like the team with a new coach now just seems like a nice fresh pace,
Hmm.
and so we'll see what they do. But I don't really have anything else from there. I do want to get into predicts because we're already an hour into this
Yeah. Let's
bitch.
quickly get into predicts. Let me pull up the screen.
So while you're doing that, I'll just go ahead and say Thursday night full football. Obviously, Denver and Saints. This game should be all Denver tonight. The Saints have nobody to throw to. They have a rookie quarterback. Expect Alvin Kamara to get like 8 to 10 targets in the pass game and probably have a majority of the load today. But I expect the Broncos to win. Um, Bo Nix, I'm saying anytime touchdown because he has like 5 or 6 rushing touchdowns this year. So if you want to bet that, hammer that away. Or I mean, you guys will see this after the game, so hopefully you guys did hammer it. But
Yeah.
yeah, this is Broncos all the way for me.
I mean, same. You have Spencer Rattler, rookie quarterback, and again, you have no Chris Olave. I think Rashid Shaheed just got ruled out,
IR.
so
Yep,
he's
he's
on
on IR
IR.
now.
Oh, well,
Yep, he just got meniscus surgery I think today.
well, and
So
that probably I
he's
think
gone.
yeah. So no Rashid Shaheed. So you have a bunch of all you have is Juwan Jennings essentially. That's the only guy
Yeah,
you
yeah,
got.
Johnson. Yeah,
Or
Jawan,
Juwan Johnson. Yeah, you have Juwan Johnson. That's the only guy you have to throw
who
to.
I think is a tight end. So yeah.
Yeah. And Taysom Hill's not playing either, so you don't have no Taysom Hill. And
So again, Alvin
it's Alvin.
Kamara is going to be
If you have
the dude today.
if you have Alvin Kamara in fantasy, you've won the league or you've won the game already.
Yeah, yeah, he's going to have a ton of
But yeah,
targets.
it's Denver all the way.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, to our London game again. One more London game at Wembley Stadium, Jacksonville versus New England. I think this one speaks for itself. I'm gonna go with the Patriots. Um,
Yeah,
Drake May looked great in his first game.
Drake May did look great. He
He
really
looked
did.
really good, and if he does that again, I mean Jacksonville's defense number one is already bad.
Yeah,
They have a horrible defense besides Josh Hines Allen. He's the only one who's respectable in that defense.
yeah,
And Trevor Lawrence has just struggled all year, and that offense can't get anything going. So, and this is usually home games for Jacksonville because Jacksonville always plays in London. So
yeah.
you think they would do a lot better, but I don't know. For some reason, Drake May just looked really good. I have a lot of confidence in the kid.
Yeah. I mean, I totally agree. I think it's gonna be Pats. Drake May looked really good, and I think it was a good start for him to get a decent game in like that. I mean, against a pretty solid opponent too. Like I really thought he was getting thrown to the Wolves, and he played excellent. So, yeah, the Jaguars next to us are like the worst team in the league right now, besides probably the Panthers. So,
Yeah,
yeah, Jacksonville is gonna have a tough season.
yeah, for sure. All right, Seahawks and Falcons.
Oh, this is a good game. Um, I'm actually gonna pick Atlanta here because I think they're at home. Seattle, I think they've just played okay the last few games. I mean, Geno Smith is obviously going off. They really struggled against San Fran last week, even though Geno still had, I think, close to 400 or like exactly 400 yards passing again or something silly because they were down. Um, just seems like a weird offense right now because they're either absolutely stunning or their ass. And I think Atlanta is
Yeah.
just finally starting to find their own. They got Algier going last week, which I think is big for the run game, and I think it helps with Bijan. Obviously, Drake London's been a just an absolute stunner right now, and Pitt's got someone involved. Kirk Cousins is getting back into the flow of things. I think it's gonna be Atlanta.
I mean, I went the same way, and all for the same reasons. I think Atlanta right now is just a better team. Seattle's kind of dipped down a little bit and has come back to earth a little bit. So I went with Atlanta as the Falcons continue just to get hotter and hotter as the season goes on.
Yeah.
All right, Bills and Titans.
Bills. Amari Cooper is gonna have a hunt like 100 yards receiving. I guarantee it.
I doubt he drops the ball too in this game. I think
Like
he's
I'm
dropping
telling
purpose.
you, he's gonna have a monster game for no reason. It's gonna be
Yeah,
fun to watch, but yeah, Bills all day.
yeah. No, for some reason I have a gut feeling that he dropped balls on purpose so he could get traded.
Yes.
Um, but yeah, no, I think this is gonna be a game where Amari Cooper gets just like 100 receiving yards and he just goes balls crazy.
Yeah.
So Bills, my choice as well. And then we have the Green Bay Packers. Well, do you want to do the Browns again earlier? Do you want to do, or do you want to save it because it's
Do them last. Do them
okay,
last.
okay. So we'll go to Green Bay and Houston.
Yeah.
Um, I actually went with Green Bay just because they're at home, and again with Jordan Love back, they just look really good with Jordan Love.
Hmm.
Tucker Craft becoming one of the better tight ends in the league, and the only tight end in the league that actually seems to be getting any kind of work. Um, and he's just been throwing. Jordan Love's been throwing the ball well, finding his guys and finding all of his receivers.
Yeah.
Dontavius Wicks has been a surprise this year. Um, Romeo Dobbs is getting some fine touches, and yeah, I mean, there's no. It doesn't seem like anything's. Their defense is really good too, and for some reason, I think Houston's just kind of struggled a little bit as of
Yeah.
late.
Yeah, they have, but I'm actually still gonna take Houston because it's just
Okay.
hard. It's hard for me to bet against CJ right now. Dude's just a good fucking player. I know they don't have Nico.
Yeah.
Tank Dell looked really great last week. You obviously still have Diggs, and honestly, Houston's defense is still pretty solid. Do I think Green Bay has a chance to win this game? Yeah, but man, it's so hard for me to bet against Stroud, so I'm going Houston.
Yeah, I just like the home team a little bit. All right. So Indianapolis and Miami.
This actually might be a shock, but I'm actually gonna go Miami.
Okay.
The Colts have just been playing really weird, and I don't know if they're getting Jonathan back. He's practicing, but it sounds like he might still sit out this week. And if that's the case, I think Miami actually has a chance to get a win again. And I think if you can get the run game going a little bit for Miami, they can definitely win this game. But if Joe Flacco is playing, Colts all the way. So we'll see what happens. But for now, Miami.
Yeah, honestly, I'm kind of gonna look into that a little bit, but I want to say Anthony Richardson is getting the start. I think they said
Yeah,
if he
I think
continues to
so
practice,
too.
I
Yeah.
think they said if he continues to practice, Colts Anthony Richardson confident he can play.
Hmm.
Hopes to return against the Dolphins. So it sounds like there's probably a chance that Anthony Richardson does get into the game on Sunday, which is why I'm also going with the Miami Dolphins. he just hasn't played well at all this season before his injury. He has a lot of picks. I think looking at stats, he has 6 touchdowns, or excuse me, he has 3 touchdowns this season and 6 picks already, and he is playing about at a Deshaun Watson kind of level. So I think the best chance of them winning is putting in Joe Flacco and utilizing Joe Flacco, but I think they're going to be dumb and start Anthony Richardson because obviously they got him in the draft and they kind of just almost like feel like they have to play him.
Right.
So, but like you said with Miami, I think they can get the run if they can get Achane going because now he's back. If they can get him going and even Raheem Mostert, I think this is done deal. I think Miami can win this football game. This is a tough one to pick: Detroit or Minnesota.
So Minnesota's starting to seem to slow down a little bit more. And let me tell you what, Detroit's offense looks incredible.
Yeah.
Now the Vikings do have a really good defense, and it looks like they're at home. So this is a tough one.
And
I'm partial to the Lions because I just like them. So I'm gonna go Lions, but this isn't going to be a high scoring game like it was last week for them against Dallas. But their
no.
offense is cooking, and you never know. But I'm going Lions.
Yeah, I went with Detroit too because they just hung on like almost 50 on Dallas and in
They were
Dallas too.
throwing to linemen last week. That's how good it went.
Like Dan Campbell was laughing at Mike McCarthy because he was throwing it to linemen for touchdowns. I mean, I think it was like the third play of the game or like early on in the game they did a fucking flea flicker to Sam Laporta for a monster touchdown for like a
Yes.
50-yard touchdown.
Yes, it was like a double or triple reverse flea flicker.
Yeah,
It was really cool. It was very clean too.
yeah. I mean, they're probably the best team in football as right now. At least they're playing like the best team in football. And like you said, Minnesota's kind of regressed a little bit over that time. And I mean, this is a big NFC North matchup too. And this is probably the two teams who are going to finish in the top two of that division most likely. So,
Yeah.
but I like Detroit because their offense seems very high powered and seems really, really, really good right now. So I went with Detroit as well.
Cool.
Philadelphia, New York, Giants.
Um. Okay. This might be my upset of the week. I'm going Giants.
Okay.
Malik Neighbors is back. Philadelphia did not look good against us, and if they didn't look good against us, New York might actually do something with Neighbors. And New York's getting their offense going. That
Yeah.
Tracy kid at running
Tyron
back,
Tracy, yeah.
he is bringing some light to that offense, and I think it could continue. I would not be surprised if New York wins, especially being at home. I'm going Giants here.
Dude, I didn't even surprise. Dude, I didn't know if you were going to with the Giants because I went with the Giants too, and
Hell yeah,
I was like, I hope he. I was like, I don't know if we're going to split this or not, but I also
yeah,
because again, like you, I like we both saw the same thing then that the Eagles just looked horrible against the Browns,
yeah,
and the Browns should have been easier to beat if you're that good of a team. And I think Nick Sirianni is just a big idiot,
yeah,
and I know a lot of Eagles fans that just absolutely hate Sirianni, want him gone.
yeah,
But yeah, New York at home. New York seems to be looking pretty good for some reason. I mean,
yeah,
they looked good against the who they play recently. Wasn't it the Packers or the Jets? I know they played. It was a green team. I want to say it was like the Jets or something or the Packers.
yeah.
I don't remember. Don't quote me on any of this shit, guys. But they looked good, and
Mm-hmm.
they've looked good the last couple games. I don't mind. Um, I don't mind the Giants in this one now.
By
All
the
right.
way, big hit by Jimenez there. Up 3-1 now.
Oh hell yeah!
All
And Lane
right.
Thomas scored because he's fast as shit.
Yeah.
Um, all right, the Rams and Raiders.
I'm going Rams here. The Raiders losing Adams. I mean, it's really not going to make that big of a difference, but the Raiders just are not a good team right now. Like
No,
they are struggling like we are. We should have beaten them, and I want to say Coop might be getting close to returning for the Rams, and they obviously have Kyron. He has scored a touchdown in like every game he's played in. I think the Rams will just ride Kyron the whole way,
Mhm.
and I mean they should win this game. So
Yeah, no, I also want the Rams because again, they could ride with Kyron all game long. I mean, they playing Aiden O'Connell. They lost their best receiver and Devontae Adams. They're going back to rebuild mode
yeah,
essentially, and they're just going back to the basics. So the Rams should be able to take this at home with Matt Stafford looking really good, and Cooper Cup potentially coming back this week too, and
yeah,
they're slowly coming back because you're going to get Cooper Cup, and then I think in the next like 2 weeks maybe you're going to get Puka Nakua coming back essentially. So the Rams should be alive and well again here in the next couple weeks. So
yeah,
and it's going to start here.
absolutely.
All right, the more easier game to predict: Washington versus the Panthers.
No need to really explain this, Washington.
Yeah, no, I easy peasy lemon squeezy. I wrote down Washington before we even started this thing. It was
Yeah,
like, yeah, it's so easy.
yeah,
Kansas City and San Francisco, a lot harder of a game to predict.
yeah. Honestly, San Fran looked really good last week on
Mm,
offense. I think they might not have Mason though, so we'll see how their run game looks. But they got Debo involved a lot last week.
yeah.
If they can find a way to get Ayuk going, especially at home, they could easily give Kansas City their first loss. So honestly, I'm going San Fran.
I went with the refs. I mean Kansas City because
Yeah,
again,
it's hard not to.
it's hard. Number one, it's hard not to. Number two, they're going to get a lot of stuff going their way. Patrick Mahomes. I mean, it's hard not to pick them, and they do have San Francisco's number lately, especially in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's true.
So I went with Casey. All right, the most dumbest Sunday night football I've ever seen: the Jets versus the Steelers.
Yeah, this is gonna be interesting. I really don't want to pick the Steelers. Honestly, the Jets go off. With Adams there, I think it just gives them a boost on offense. Obviously, Garrett Wilson has been tearing it up the last few games as well. They're very close. Once
Yeah.
their defense starts to click again, the Jets are going to be a scary team. Rodgers just needs to play a little bit better. He's been kind of meh, um, but I can see them beating the Steelers. The Steelers do have a good, defense and whatnot, but I think Russell Wilson might fuck up that offense.
Eh.
Whatever they had go going, I think he might fuck it up. So, I'm going Jets.
Yeah, I went with the Jets solely because they got Devontae Adams, and Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams have such a great connection that I don't think that connection is lost at all. I think they're going to get right back to where they were in Green Bay. It seems like they've already made up and whatnot, and they're so happy to be back together. And I just think this is a game where Rodgers and Devontae both go off together.
Yeah,
All right, two Monday Night Football games. First Monday night game going to the Baltimore Ravens and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers down in Tampa. First
yeah,
game in Tampa since the hurricane.
yeah. This is gonna be an interesting one. Um,
Mind you, Baker Mayfield the best QB in the league right now.
I actually, so I'm rooting very heavy for Bake. So I am actually gonna go Tampa Bay here. Like I get that. Um, the Ravens have been running the ball very, very well, but Baker's literally like MVP currently, right? Right now, he's playing that good. The Bucks are just tearing it up. Uh, and the Ravens have not been playing well on defense. They almost lost a shootout with the Bengals. The Bucks are not gonna let that happen. So I'm saying Bucks, especially at home.
Yeah, I mean, it's no surprise for me. I also went with the Bucks as well because number one, the Ravens actually have been a bottom. I think it's like a two, three, four, five, six, seven, about a bottom seven defense in the league.
Yeah,
And Baker has been absolutely tearing it up this year. Mike Evans looks good. Godwin looks good. I mean, hell, the new rookie running back Bucky Irving looks really good.
yeah,
Their defense is just a lot better as well, and they're at home playing in front of fans that just went through a devastating hurricane. I think they're going to get behind this game. They're going to be excited to have football back in Tampa Bay,
yeah.
and they're just going to light it up.
Absolutely.
Plus, fuck the Ravens.
Yeah.
Chargers versus the Cardinals.
This is gonna be a weird one.
Yeah,
The Chargers have been playing really bad.
yeah.
Um, I'm going Cardinals. I think Marvin Harrison has a great game. I think this is the game that he can really show out on national television. So yeah, I'm gonna say Cards here.
Yeah, I mean, I think me and you have a lot of similar picks this week. I went with the Cardinals as well, just because they're at home. The Chargers have looked abysmal the last couple of weeks. It, I, I don't know what's been going on with the Chargers. Harbaugh looks kind of weird, and I know he had then or well, no, I thought he had an incident too last week or something because
Yeah.
I thought he went to like the blue medical tent.
Yeah,
Um,
he did. He probably just had a panic attack or something.
yeah, well,
Or
because
he ate too many boogers. What are the other?
yeah, either or. I mean, I think he just had a panic attack from watching his team suck so bad.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I think Arizona because they're at home. I think they get James Conner going again. I think they get the receivers going, and they probably go out there and win a football game.
Oh yeah.
All right, the one we don't want to do, the Browns and Bengals.
Um, I don't know. I feel like the presence of Chubb is actually going to help us. I know we've struggled, but I'm actually going to get back to being a little optimistic. I think just everything that happened this week, I think there could be a little chip on our shoulder. And again, this is a very winnable game. I'm saying Browns are going to win, and I'm saying it's going to be like 28-24.
I said the Browns as well because, like you said, the optimism of having Nick Chubb back, and I think he's going to be a big boost to the team. Even with the limited touches, he's going to help this team get somewhere and get this offense going a little bit better. I think it kind of could help Watson a little bit too in the long run. Um, I think it's going to be 20-13. I still don't. I think we finally just cracked the 20-point mark. Maybe Watson does crack 200 yards finally, but
Maybe.
the reason why I also picked Cleveland too is because over the last like 5 years or whatever, we
I was
had the
about to say
Bengals.
we own the Bengals, man.
We own the Bengals, and I don't know. Every time it seems like we play the Bengals, I just get a little bit more confident playing them.
Miles
So
Garrett has always has great games against him. He had a great
yeah,
game last week. I think he can easily follow that up.
yeah,
And Ward has always played well against Jamar and against Higgins and really against
and
Burrow.
the thing is, the Browns' defense over the past couple of weeks has gotten better and better and better
They
each and
have,
every week. So
they
I
have.
think Jim Schwartz is getting his defense back to where they were and back to playing good quality football. So I think
And
the Browns have the Bengals number and they continue to do so.
And I do want to note too, I really think the Browns' struggles on defense have mainly been the fact that they've just been on the field so damn
So
much because
yeah,
Watson's been terrible. That if you can give them bigger breaks, I think
yeah,
they can really lock it down. Because they really did hold their own. They had that one really bad play to Smith that
hmm
the dude jogged like 40 yards for a touchdown. So like, just seems like this team is good for one of those, and if you can just avoid that, especially against sort of a home run hitting team like the Bengals, as long as you keep Jamar from really getting over your head and going over the top, uh, it can help. So if
yeah,
Thornhill plays a factor in this, it would be great. If Grant's back, that's great. Getting some guys back is really going to help us out. And
mm,
again, I just think the presence of Chubb is really going to do a lot more than people think. It's just let's see how the crowd is because the crowd's going to be antsy. They're not going to be fun for Watson. Every time he takes a snap, there's going to be boos. I guarantee it. So it's going to be
yeah,
interesting, but this is a very winnable game, and if we can win this game, we'll be back on track and really in the division, which is all that matters at that at this point. We have a lot of divisional games on the horizon now, so there's really a chance to still do something here. So let's see what
yeah,
they got.
absolutely. And just to recap, Week 6 predicts we both went 10-4.
Really? Hell yeah,
Yeah,
we had a pretty good week. So I'm still in the lead by like what 1 or 2 games maybe.
you're still in the lead by 4.
Oh shit.
You're at 47-30. I'm to 43-34.
Let's go.
The games. So I ended up getting the Thursday night game wrong. You picked San Francisco. I picked Seattle. Seattle lost, obviously. We both got Washington lose, or we both had Washington, Denver, and Vegas. All of them lost, and then I had the Buffalo Bills to beat the Jets, and you had the Jets to beat Buffalo. So that's where we
Okay.
differed.
Gotcha.
Was I got the Seattle game wrong, and you got the Jets game wrong.
Sweet.
So both 10-4, both you stay 4 ahead of me
For now.
for
We'll
now.
see. I could have a really bad week this week.
That's why I copy you most of the time now, just so I can keep up.
And then just switch it up just a little bit so there's some sort of difference. Yeah.
Who knows?
Good
Maybe
stuff.
one of these weeks I'll just change it up while the games are going on. Like, oh, this was my pick. This was my pick to make it like me beat you by like 1 or 2 or something. Just,
Oh, yeah.
but we also have the tapes too, so I can't really do that.
So yeah, we'll see how everything is for next
Yeah.
week. Obviously we got the Guards going right now. They're up 3-1 in the top of the 7th inning. We just walked the first batter of the inning, so we'll see how Heron, you know, tries to fuck this up for us. And then we'll see if the Browns can find a way to get back in the win column, and if they do, it can be a snowball effect. Like this can happen. The Browns can go 8-3 from this point on and make the playoffs. Like it's still a possibility. It's just a difficult possibility. But
Yeah,
you,
possibility nonetheless.
yeah, I mean, you gotta do what what you gotta do. And I think if you're gonna trust anybody, it can be a Stefanski because he's always found a way to sort of bring it back. So
Yeah, absolutely.
one game at a time for these guys, and hopefully the presence of Nick Chubb will do more than we think. So
Yeah.
that's pretty much all I have. Do you have anything else before we log off?
No, go Guardians, baby.
Go Guards, go Browns,
Yes, sir.
Cavs next week. So
I'm
that
excited.
will start getting implemented.
I'm going to
And-
the Cavs home opener too next Friday, so let's go, baby.
Oh yeah, and I obviously have some things going on behind the scenes as well. So I'll wait. I'll wait to share that that news once things start to become
Come
more
forward, yeah.
official. But let's just say your boy's gonna have some more time to be doing some more content with with Andrew. So with that said, we will see you guys next week, and just remember, we're just BSing. Please don't take us seriously.